Wait a minute, what is happening here? This is an Audi without Audi rings in the front. Strange decision, isn't it? But what's the reason behind it? And today an exclusive ride of the all-new Audi E5 Sportback. So I have the exclusive chance to drive it for you, to test it, check about exterior, interior and the technology. Can this actually be one of the crucial new Audi models leading the way where the brand is going to? Recently we've shown the Audi Concept C. We're also going to talk about the differences and also the similarities. The difference is the Audi Concept C is a concept car. This one here is out there on the road. There were actually 10,000 orders in 30 minutes when it was starting. So there has to be something about this vehicle. What are the backgrounds of this one and everything you need to know with Thomas Nautigefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. This one here, the Audi, basically a new sub-brand, especially for the Chinese market so far. In 1909, Audi launched actually the brand with a lettering and not the rings yet. The rings came later. And they want to, on the one hand, go back to that. On the other hand, there's the problem, especially on the Chinese market, that some of the traditional German cars, they work as the combustion engine. But on the electric side, the Chinese customers want something fresher, more modern, more innovation, and also better in the price-performance ratio. And this is exactly what they're trying to do here now with the new Audi brand, but Audi in the letters. And the E5 Sportback is the all-new model, and so far it's actually working quite well in the pre-orders and so on. And we can see there's also this lighting here integrated in the paint, goes like with span here all the way around. Very interesting. We can also soon open the front for you, and later we're also going to talk about the prices, because the price at which they are offering this vehicle here, and considering how big the battery is and so on, is actually quite crazy. The length is 4.88 meters or 192 inches, so is a very reasonably sized car. It's actually quite large and more already close to like an Audi A6 e-tron or something like that. 19 or 20 inch wheels. These ones are the 20 inch wheels in black. Here the, not the rings, but the Audi lettering, you can also turn it. It always stays upright like this. Optionally, or included in the highest trim model, you can get air suspension and also rear axle steering, so full of tech indeed. Here is the charging flap, and you'll get different batteries. Here, electric, you can open it, AC and DC charging. DC peak is 390 kilowatt for the biggest battery. So they start with the 76 kilowatt hour LFP battery, the smallest one. Then there's like a middle spec battery, 83 kilowatt hours, and the high spec battery, which we also have here for you today, is about 100 kilowatt hours. And then this one also promises the highest range, of course. Charging is actually the middle battery, not so quick, but the LFP battery is super quick, 13 minutes. And this one here, the 100 kilowatt hour battery, 17 minutes. 10 to 80% state of charge. This is actually also quite good as for the charging figures. And the rear, you can see once again the Audi lettering, no rings, and then the red light then here integrated in that paint. This is the special look. It also has some similarities to the recently presented Skoda Vision O on the European market. So you can see that design influence inside the Volkswagen group going back and forth. And this one also carries some design ideas of the Audi Concept C. And you can say, on the contrary, this one already has some elements of the Audi Concept C built in the series production vehicle. So you can see there's a lot of influence going from the Chinese market team and the German market team, and they're exchanging ideas and design concept and so on. Overall with the goal that Audi is, on the one hand, more Audi and more German again. On the other hand, especially for the EV customers, and on here on the Chinese market, they want to cater the younger, more innovative audience. And this is a very interesting approach indeed. So they call it Sportback. On the European market, we would rather call it Sportback maybe, something that flows a little bit further down. To us, it's maybe an estate as well, but definitely it is a real hatch, which you can actually here really open between the U and the D, or pressing on the key fob would also work. Just to show you quite briefly, we're going to go an in-depth review of the trunk as well. So to me, it's more an estate, but Audi calls it here Sportback. Very interesting. Again, soon more to all the interior features. So this is really some kind of a story, because the German manufacturers have been struggling on the Chinese market. The combustion engines are still very desirable, but with the electric vehicles, they have to compete with these highly competitive prices. And this one here, now with the large battery, and then also with great acceleration figures. With the all-wheel drive top spec model, it's actually 3.4 seconds, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, almost 800 horsepower. And the lowest, actually, the entry level would be already at 6.1 seconds. So you can get large batteries, you can get great performance figures. The rear electric motor is always a stronger one, by the way. So you also have kind of this rear bias. They also want to push the original Quattro idea with rear bias again. Fast recharging, then a very modern exterior, and we also soon come to the build quality on the interior, and I can already tell you more about the prices. And you probably won't believe it, this car ranges between 30 and 40,000 euros. And it's like, how is that actually possible? Even considering when we now look the interior details. So when we now come to the interior, let me give you one appendix about the prices. So you cannot directly compare the prices on the Chinese market with the European or the US prices. So on the US market, the prices for cars are relatively low considering the wages, if you compare it to Europe, for example. In Europe, cars are quite expensive. In Germany, it's still quite okay in comparison, but in countries in Europe where you have high taxations, especially like on sports cars and so on, it's even crazier. But on the Chinese market, the wages are of course lower, energy costs are lower and so on. They are also pushing EVs, electric vehicles, profit from tax benefits. Also, you can easier get a registration. For example, for a combustion engine, you sometimes have to pay 10,000 euros for the registration. So that's why everyone is going EV. But here now, what do we get for the interior here? And still you have to say, the price where they're offering it is still somewhat crazy. But for example, Tesla Model 3 Performance would be a little bit more expensive. The Xiaomi SO7, that one would be a little bit less expensive. But they're all more or less in the same price region. And then here, so this is here the key fob, openings at the side. And some special things now. First of all, these are digital mirrors. You don't have to go for them. There are also standard mirrors available. This is here the camera mirror with a very interesting integration. Then the top trim model also features automatic doors. Press this button and it completely goes open. There's always back and forth with this automatic doors. I'm not the biggest fan of it. What's quite cool is you can sit down, press the brake, then it closes again. That's actually a quite cool feature. In general, I'm more a fan of manual doors. The windows here have the lamination. So you can see it here, and there's both in the front and in the rear. And now we can take a look at the front together because I release it here. Dual release, just a quick opening manual. There we go. And well, the thing is here that is a very tiny front, gotta say that. So maybe just a small charging cable here, and that's actually it. But I can tell you, this interior is super interesting. Now here to the interior details. Top part is also soft touch leatherette, so it's really nice and soft, good build quality. And then here you have a real wood. Different colors are available, and you also have this special pattern here in this side. So very cool idea, definitely, to do that. Wow, that required some work, definitely. Then I have microfiber here, different trims and colors are available. This one here in dark green in this case. And here, real clicking sounds for the window levers, and and this is the typical Audi clicking sound actually. Then here, this is then rather hard pack, at least some rubber pad on the ground. Bose sound system you have here in this gray fabric. In gray fabric, we'll find more in the interior very soon. You can see here these entry badges are still covered. I can unwrap them soon for you or something like that. Steering wheel, once again, also with real buttons, clicking sounds here, also Audi clicking sounds for these buttons as well on the right side, and the Audi lettering. Here you can see the integration then of the camera mirrors, and I'm not sure if this one here is working. So I think the integration is actually quite cool because it's close to the steering wheel, the other one on the other side of course, and you can see this screen here covers the whole interior. Different individual screens, but it goes all the way through from left to right. Then the seats, they are also with microfiber, full microfiber seat, some fabric on the top part with the Audi lettering once again. They look pretty cool. Also have some perforation. Seat cooling is also available. Seat heating naturally as well. So that looks very promising. Not sure if I would pick the green color, but that's of course a matter of preference, and there are also other ones available. Here you can also use seat function up and down here and back and forth, and you can also save your driving position then that you have like your driver profile when you get in the vehicle again. I also really like that they use the gray fabric on the ceiling here in the front, and for example also then here on the sun visor, really large with a light. See if we can also extend it somewhat. No, that's not possible, but it's also here very soft when I push the sun visor here, for example. So that is a good first interior quality assessment. Seating position wise, it's really nice with the back. It could maybe be a little bit softer in, you know, like the lower sit bone area, but we have to see about that when we drive a little bit longer. It is Chinese market focused so far, and it also has a sibling from the SAIC Motor Corporation, because here Audi SAIC, this is like their joint venture, the same that VW has, and they have another joint venture as well. There's like historic reasons for that. And then here you can see with 189, 6'2", still some headroom left to this fixed panoramic glass roof, which here also has a tinting, and you can do that automatically. But manual is also possible. So now if I have the automatic doors, I just press the brake here and then the door is closing. That's the practical side of it, definitely. And there you can see it once again, the space dimension. It's kind of tight here with the middle console, I gotta say, with this real electrochrome roof, by the way. So this is not just a pure dimming effect. This one really blocks out the sun. Nowadays, manufacturers often say, we have electrochrome roof, but it's not a real electrochrome roof in the, you know, like real scientific sense, so to speak. This one is, because that one here takes slowly to dim, but it really blocks sun rays from the outside then, like the old Mercedes SL had. There you can see it takes a lot of time, but then it's a real dimming thing. The other very quickly, like millisecond dimming things you see with a lot of new vehicles, these are more about show effect, so to speak, or how bright it is maybe on the interior, but they have no effect on the sun. But here you can see now, bit by bit, how it's getting darker and darker. And you can see also when you film it from the outside, when Leah takes a look at that this one is really reflecting sunlight. So a very, very interesting thing, and actually the better technology, even though it is slower. And there you can see, because it comes from the side, you can already see now how it's like almost black basically. And in the middle part, it's still a little bit brighter. Super interesting. And I can also manually do that, as I said, but you can also set it to an auto dim function. And most impressive thing here is this. You have the camera mirrors, then you have the screen here, then the large screen here from driver to passenger that goes all the way through. Very crisp. They use different hardware, different software. This could also lead the way for the European and American vehicles, definitely. The software, however, from the visualization is kind of similar to the European Audi models. And you can see it's really quick actually. Here are the car adjustments and also how the animations look like, you know. Everything is really, really crystal clear, and you can see how everything moves and so on. It's super fast. Actually what we would expect from the software of the domestic manufacturers. And this is also one of the reasons why people in China rather go for the Chinese manufacturers. They still love Audi, BMW, Mercedes, or BBA, as they say, for Benz, BMW and Audi, or BMW, Benz and Audi. We in Germany rather say ABM for Audi, BMW, Mercedes. It's funny, right? They love the brand still, but they sometimes say, you know, but the software is so slow with their EVs and so on. And here now it's different to cater these needs, and also this huge passenger area, which is really famous here also on the Chinese market. More microfiber here in the lower part. This is really nice. So everything is more like, let's say, warmer in the interior. Maybe going back to you know, older design philosophy at the same time, catering also modern design philosophy with gray ceiling here all right around, giving some kind of living room atmosphere. So it's both in one car. On the one hand, you have more living room with microfiber, gray fabric and so on. At the same time, you have more modern tech and stuff with even more screens all the way going around. However, I gotta say, most of the new Chinese electric vehicles, they have like one big screen pop up here, or like Tesla is doing. Here is more the try of integrating it something a little bit more into the cockpit and closing it like a cocoon a little bit. I think it's a very interesting idea. You can even write here on this pad, that would also be possible. Why don't I write Audi? So yeah, different functionalities there. This is an inductive charging pad, 50 watt actually, integrated behind this wooden pillar, and real turning jogs. For example, this is for the climate unit. Yes. And we also saw that something similar in the Audi Concept C. And yeah, this is, for example, the climate unit. I can press then to deactivate it, for example. And on the left side, this is the volume jog here. So there we can see the turning dials coming back to the Audis. So more tech, but also old philosophy at the same time. This is a dynamic thing. So here, for example, at the moment I can select driving modes. It's capacitive, but I can also, here, for example, when I'm, the driving modes, and then when I press from the lower area part here, then the driving modes switch actually, but these can also be different contents displayed here. More wood, I can slide this open, adaptive cup holders, a lot of space, and also the split armrest right here with more USB-C charging space underneath. So I think it's a very interesting cockpit logic with this, on the one hand, a lot of modern stuff, but also what we car enthusiasts want, like the real turning job for the temperature and so on. The only thing when you say, is it also suitable for the European market? Maybe the seating position could be a little bit more optimized for tall passengers. That might be just a Thomas thing, because if you're not as tall as me, it's maybe not the thing, but that's probably the only thing I would say that could be optimized for the European or the American market. Everything else, I think, could also very well work here. And hey, they already got now the manual dials here at the steering wheel, and also in the middle part, you have actually, is there any high gloss black? This also similarity to the Audi Concept C, hardly any high gloss black anymore. Yes, we have the bezels around the screens, but they are also smaller than in the new current Audi models in Europe and in the US. Other than that, everything is indeed like a warmer living room atmosphere. So that's actually pretty cool. So looking forward also to the design interchange there. Wondering, by the way, if there's any glove box, but doesn't seem like that, right? And here I also want to show you the second interior. This is a different trim with different colors. Here the white or bright microfiber. This is really beautiful. I love it. And also the really bright matte wood here. So this is my favorite combination actually, with the white and the bright wood. Yeah, I really love that, I have to say. And once again, how everything feels with the matte surface here and a lot of microfiber. And you can also see better here the ambient lighting integration. And the special thing about this is you do not see the light strip. It's also, once again, this rather shy or subtle approach. You can also see it at the seats here, where the light source is invisible, but you can see the light, you know, like the shade itself, but you don't see the light strip. And the same also goes for this, you know, this ripple effect wood here on the inside. You have the ambient lighting once again. Really subtle, this integration. This is a beautiful job, and I honestly have to say, with looking at it and feeling and touching the things, this is really next level. And you wonder how this one can be price-wise below the standard Audi, BMW, Mercedes products, although it is from the sophistication in the interior definitely above that, especially when you look at the most recent models. There are a few exceptions. For example, there are no handles here on the top, you know, so they have saved that. For example, I really like to have separate handles, especially for the passengers or also in the rear. So not everything definitely, but especially out here, how everything is covered. Also middle console, a lot of space additionally here underneath. This is beautifully done. Of course, you can also pick different ambient lighting colors. I picked the purple now because it also fits then here to this exterior purple color. And there are also some interesting Easter eggs to come up, because this middle part then here, where the voice assistant is, it looks like an Apple Magic Mouse, doesn't it? Leah will soon show these special Easter egg features here to you. Another interesting thing is also that this climate unit, which I would always keep at the climate unit, you could also assign it to different functions. You could also make this one the volume jog for the fan speed or for some other functions. So you can highly individualize it on the interior, what kind of functions these things shall do for you. And now the moment I have been waiting for, and many more of my fellow Autogefühl fans, the part where Leah shows us some more features. And there are some really fun features, I can promise. So,
with love.
oh, with love.
I'll show you.
What does she mean by that? So here in this AI assistant, you can also use it for handwriting. I've shown it to you. And if you here put a heart in there, oh, you get the hearts in the screen.
And
second one. Oh, watch the back mirror. It's getting late today.
Watch out. Fireworks.
Oh, so that's like just the stripe is leading to fireworks. And the third one. Oh, come on. There we go.
Circle.
The circle. These are they even in purple with the vehicle color.
Yeah.
Audi tennis balls. And wait a minute, wait for it. Yeah, I mean, I think that the classic Audi Ring brand would have not dared to put such features in the car. They are not necessary.
But it's cool, why not?
Yeah, they're also fun. And we quickly switch it to a studio setting to show you a different vehicle color. This is this, let's say, Provence-like purple color, the one that Leah really appreciates. We had the Porsche Panamera in a similar color. You might remember that. I think the Porsche Macan as well, right? I do think this vehicle also has a lot of Porsche elements. And if you look from the front, but also from the rear, could be also a little bit like Porsche Taycan Sport Turismo. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. And if you like this one better or the gray one we have seen, this one also has 20-inch wheels. Here then in this, let's say, spider dual tone design scheme, also pretty cool actually. Tire width is always a thing, by the way. This one here has in the front 245 mil with the 20-inch wheels. There are also the 19-inch wheels available. Then in the front, the width is the same. In the rear, however, 285 in the rear. And if you go for the 19-inch wheels, you would have 275 in the rear. Not the largest difference, but of course, the wider the tires are, the more rolling resistance there is. So the 275 will be a little bit better in the economy, and also if you go for the rear-wheel drive only version. So the best range one will be 19-inch wheels with the 100 kilowatt hours battery and the rear-wheel drive only. That will be the range optimized version. Here, once again, when it's in the studio, you can also very well see here, also when it's in the dark, that the light ring also goes all the way around in the rear. And this one here, being the all-wheel drive model, also has the classic Quattro badge with the typical Audi Quattro lettering. Now to the rear of the vehicle. Here we have soft touch and also with, you can really press it in behind that fabric insert then here for the speakers. And this ripple wood, I call it that way, with the ambient lighting integration, more microfiber. Seat heating also for the rear seats and the lower door cover. So, I mean, yeah, this is the only hard black plastic part. By the way, electric door unlock, but you also can have the manual fail-safe release. And then here also microfiber for the rear seats, perforation as well. Then the Audi lettering here, very prominent. Also bright microfiber cushion for the headrest. You can push down this here. Then we have some cup holders right there and some more space underneath. No ski hatch here whatsoever. It's one of the common thing on the Chinese market. And here the Isofix covers, they are beautifully hidden here like this. Otherwise, these here add to the comfort in the lower area. One catch with the electric vehicles, the batteries in the bottom, and if you don't have an SUV building type, my feet are standing relatively high when you have long legs. This is why you have then, this angle of the legs. This is maybe not the most ideal thing. Still, you have a lot of space here. Is, however, not the highest one. Here you can see, from the headroom, still works with 189, 6'2", and there's some knee room left here. I would say not the most ideal seating position for tall adults here, but still enough space. And once again, from the material choices, once again, very sophisticated. After showing so many features and like the interior build quality, you might ask yourself like, where's the catch? I mean, driving is still to come, and also efficiency tests and so on, and assistance systems. So there might be a catch there. We'll find out for you, because I always take a look at every single detail, exterior, interior, and driving. There might be one catch in the trunk though. So first of all, interesting opening mechanism, either with the key fob or here pressing between the U and the D. There we go. And then it is, to me, some kind of a estate form. They call it Sportback. but easy access here to the trunk. Definitely, this also fits in underneath height-wise, no problem. So with 350 liters, it is a little bit shallow. You can see here, it's about 92 centimeters in width, 36 inches in width. So it's not too wide, just in this very back part here. Then the length, however, is it's actually quite cool. So here we are about 1 meters and 10 or 43 inches. And if we fold on here, 2/3, 1/3 split, it doesn't go all the way flat. And to the driving seat, I'm here at about 1 meters and 90 or 75 inches. So only limitation basically in the width a little bit. This top part here, I can also put out like this, and then there we go. And then we can also have a better perspective of what we can really do and see. And then we are here with the height of 25 inches or 64 centimeters. And let me show the full perspective like here. Yeah, I think it still works as an estate. Yeah, maybe with a little bit of limitation in the width right there. Underneath, there's nothing you could lift. All right, let's drive the all-wheel drive version. First acceleration. Let's go. Woo! Woo! That was like 20 to 120, something like that. Yeah, 3.4 seconds is the official acceleration figure, 0 to 100 here with the Quattro all-wheel drive model, and whew, that gets your adrenaline going, definitely. Also, the Lear meter went off again. And the astonishing thing is, once again, to get this kind of performance at that price. I mean, yeah, I thought about that the prices are not really comparable to the like European or American market. But still, if you think about that, this one here is cheaper than the Model 3 Performance, it's still very decent in that respect, right? So this was the dynamic mode. Here also the air suspension is set on a somewhat stiffer note, more feedback from the road. So this one here, again, air suspension plus the rear axle steering. Rear axle steering comes more apparent, of course, when we drive a little bit slower and in the turning circle and so on. Here, dynamic mode, air suspension, as I said, more contact to the road. So when I do a lane change here, that everything is also staying upright. I do feel the subtle nuances in the road a little bit more than when it's in the dynamic mode. So it's something for maybe like the mountain road, driving dynamic, which we will also do later on. And of course, it's fun also when you do like the really fast lane changes. What I really like is that the steering has a little bit more response in the dynamic mode. In contrast to that, when I go to comfort, the air suspension is set to a level where it's really more a little bit floaty, but then the steering is really, really light. Too light to me, but I would actually then, when I own the car myself, would use the individual mode. And there I can, for example, set the steering to the stiff mode from the dynamic mode and the suspension to the soft mode from the comfort mode. This would be the ideal setup to me. And then I'm actually also fine with that. They also use the typical Audi progressive steering here, but in comparison to the European models, they still have set the steering to a way softer node. So yes, it does change with the driving mode. That's why I would set the steering to dynamic, but it's still in comparison to the modes we have in Europe, the steering is softer. What is very notable, definitely from suspension to other Chinese EVs is, and also, for example, to the counterpart from the SAI Corporation, the IM model here, which is kind of like technological brother. Here they really try to apply this sportier German setup, and they've definitely done it with the air suspension. So most of the other Chinese EVs I've been driving do have a softer suspension setup. So here, they want to bring in the German spirit with that. Throttle and brake control is, let's say, sensitive, but you can easily control that. And they have also set this philosophy of recuperation when you leave the throttle, that the car is just rolling, and then you rule the recuperation with the brake pedal. So opposite to Tesla, where they always set the emphasis on like really strong acceleration when you lift your foot off the throttle. And you see, left lane hugging is also a thing here in China, definitely, from time to time. Yeah, sometimes it's Wild West here in driving. But when I wait for this car in front of us to pass it, we can drive a little bit faster. Let's talk about the digital camera mirrors. It is a very interesting application because you don't have to, look too much to the outside. So that's cool where it is actually placed. It's also really large and wide. What can be irritating, however, especially if you have bifocal glasses, then it's a catastrophe. And also with a focus change. I have long focus, you know, to the road. And usually mirrors would be also long focus, normal mirrors. But a screen here is always short focus. And that's just a biological problem, you know, to the human eye, and especially if you get a little bit older. And I also noticed that myself, you know, that the flexibility, you know, of the, you know, iris muscle is, letting go just a little bit by bit. So it's not a good idea, I feel. It is, for this kind of system, a very good application, but I do always prefer the classic mirrors. But for digital mirrors, I think it's one of the best applications I've seen so far. So this is basically the difference as for that. So one of the main questions was also, is it still Audi in its genes? And you feel that by the, like, this sportiness and comfort suspension combination, and you feel it also with the progressive steering, that you have this thing I have to overtake to the right at some point, and you know, no use for that. Sorry about that. So now we can drive 120 kilometers an hour as it is allowed here.
It's very silent.
Yeah, very silent.
That's cool,
as well. Yeah. So we have the dual insulation front and rear, and in this very top spec, there's the additional rear window acoustic glass, and also the small rear quarter side windows, also acoustic. And now we have a redesigned setup. So here, 120 kilometers an hour, we can drive, and it's very calm, very silent. So yeah, that would also fit to the German motorway, definitely, to have this very calm setup here. And when Leah says that, she's an expert in that, definitely. And there's always a lot of traffic and rolling noise from other cars going around here on the Chinese motorways. So you can really compare that very, very well. Running straight from the suspension is also all fine. What could be improved, especially for like a European or American use case? It's once again, to me, the seating position, which is not ideal for tall drivers. I think when you're not as tall as me, probably you won't even notice. But me, myself, I'm sitting relatively high in the vehicle. So if I, for example, compare the Audi A6 e-tron, there you sit lower in the vehicle. The seat is, it houses you in a little bit more. And so for me, it should be a little bit softer at your sit bone, like, you know, from the foam area. But at the same time, I would like to sit lower in the vehicle. Yeah, and that's always a thing, of course, with the EV platforms, because you need to house the battery in the bottom part there a little bit. Yeah, so that's the only thing that is disturbing me a little bit in driving. Need a little bit more space with the knee. Need a little bit more space in seating, in sitting on the seat. That is the thing, especially as a tall European driver, you notice here. But everything besides that, as I said, from suspension, from the noise insulation, how the car is delivering the power in a very smooth way, is really very well applied. And you might think this could easily also be a hitter on the European or American market, especially if they also sell it at a decent price. What I also noticed is that the car is staying relatively calm in acceleration and braking, like in longitudinal way, like here, for example, when I accelerate. This doesn't have like a special hydraulic individual pump system like, you know, the Porsche or the Neo or something, but it stays really upright and calm. And this is also where the German engineering team especially worked here also with the Chinese team from Audi Psych, that they apply this, you know, this special suspension setting, which also sets it apart to the Psych Corporation brother model from this one here. And also, once again, when I do like the lane changes here at higher speeds like this, I would not change the lane that fast in normal driving life. But like this, it's a lot of fun, right? So already a lot of fun driving it on the motorway. And since we can drive freely now some 120 kilometers an hour, I can also tell you more about the concise consumption, because that's of course always the crucial thing here for these EVs. You've also seen here, maybe from the action camera, this distribution in the all-wheel drive, and we had more power on the front wheels when I was doing like the harsh acceleration at the very beginning. But in the normal driving, for the best efficiency, you can see always 100% rear. So then the front motor is not used at all, that you don't have like additional energy consumption as for that. That's also a good idea, of course. So only use the front electric motor when it's really needed. And it also shows that the idea is, hey, let's make it rear wheel biased. So this is then even more rear wheel biased than the classic quattro all-wheel drive, like with the torsion differential. And you know, there was this big discussion with the quattro ultra that's more like front wheel bias, but here definitely going for a strong rear wheel bias in this quattro all-wheel drive. And that's actually working quite well here on the motorway. And we can also test here the, whoa, there we go, the auto driving. So this was a lane change from the car itself, and also here turning the steering wheel itself. Here the most sophisticated mode, now it did some braking randomly. The most sophisticated mode only works when you have also a GPS navigation set. And by the way, so here Leah could watch a movie on that side, or she could also
That's cool, yeah.
like have the full map screen mode there. That looks also very fancy. And I've made a lot of experience now already with this auto driving thing.